Learn how to monetize your soul-led business through the online medium and make actual impact. I'm Pratna and you're listening to Rebel with a Purpose. I'm so excited to welcome you in for this episode because I've invited a very special person and a guest on today's episode. Her name is Dana Hayes. She's actually my first life coach back in 2022 when I was exploring this industry, and she opened my eyes up to doing this as a full-time coach and making me realize that I have that potential within me. So she is one of the main reasons that I'm here today. So let's invite Dana Hayes. A little bit about her is that she is a spiritual healer, a six-figure mentor, and a mom of two beautiful boys. She's on a mission to help spiritual mompreneurs sell transformational services without spending inordinate amounts of time slaving away on social media. And she's here to drop some bombs and some wisdom. So let's get right into it. Hi, Dana. How are you doing?
I am so good, Prat. How are you?
I'm doing good too. It's such an honor to have you on this episode. Thank you for doing this with me.
Oh my God, I would not dream of saying no to you. You are one of my first clients and you're very, very near and dear to my heart. So how could I say no?
Thank you so much. Yeah, and for all the listeners, Dana is my first ever life coach. She brought me into this industry. She brought me into this world, and I'm so beyond grateful for her, and I always will be. And that's why I wanted to bring her on this episode to have like a full circle moment and to tell us about what she's up with because she's doing some amazing work. So let's get right into it. So to start off, Dana, tell us more about yourself, your story, and your journey.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I will. That's a tall order. I'm like, how much time do you have? But I will try to keep this condensed. Oh my God. Okay. So who I am, God, I don't even know. I don't even know who I am yet. No. I am, first of all, my name is Dana Hayes. I am the founder of The Modern Day Healer. And basically, I just believe that everybody is here to be the example of what's possible for others when you clear yourself out and connect with something bigger, right? And that's what I feel a modern day healer is. It's just somebody who is the walking, living, breathing example of what's possible for other people because they're literally doing it, right? And the only way that I know to do that is by, like I said, clearing myself out and connecting to something bigger, the part of myself that is it's the universe, right? It's God. It's whatever you want to call it. But I have to connect to that part of myself in order to get to where I am today, in order to stay clear, in order to stay aligned and focused and to know what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I think in our industry, we're souls. We're all multidimensional. There's no way to say that any other way. We all are. We're all souls. And so it's very easy to allow that multidimensionality to become confusing, right? And it can create all of these different paths that you can take, which is true. But when you're connected to something bigger, I feel that that is the easiest way to find clarity for yourself and your own life's purpose and what it is that you specifically are here to do. But in a more general sense, I believe that everyone's here to be an example of what's possible by, being directed by something bigger. And so the way that I have evolved in my own business is I started as just straight spiritual healing, right? I was teaching people how to heal themselves using the process that I was taught by my mentor. And it really is the process of clearing yourself out and maintaining that clarity within, and constantly maintaining a relationship with something bigger than myself, which ultimately means surrender, and then allowing whatever to come. And that doesn't mean like what I should always be doing, but it always means what I should be being. And really practicing what I preach. So to just go back a little bit where I started, I was a marketing coach, and this was back in 2017, a little bit before that maybe. And I just was throwing my head through a wall every day, going, I cannot figure out what my own message is. And I literally would have this vision of a hamster wheel. Like I knew I was on a hamster wheel. And I now call it the hamster wheel from hell because it's just painful. It's like, oh my God, I want to give so much to the world, but if I can't stick with one message, how do I actually deliver the information? What does the packaging actually look like? And if I keep changing it, if I keep changing my messaging, if I keep changing what my thing is, right? If I can't find my one thing, how do I find the focus necessary to expand this business? And so I was very, very frustrated, to the point of like, I mean, I was in a really dark place. And again, this is 2017. And I had some clients, and you were not one of them. That this was a really long time ago. I had a couple doctors, I had a psychologist, I had nurses. It was a lot of like health practitioners. I don't know why. But I was trying to help them with their own marketing messages. And I remember praying every single day. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was praying. And I was like, please, like, whatever you are, give me the ability to find like this depth and weight in my message so that I can show other people how to do the same thing. I was just looking for my purpose so I could help other people find their purpose and then ultimately turn it into a message. That wouldn't change, right? Because if you know your purpose, that's not changing. Like it might evolve and grow and expand, but if you have your purpose, you're going to be able to package that and stick with it. That's your thing, it's your purpose. So I said I would do anything. I literally meant it. I was like, I will do anything. And in my head, I was like, anything, that probably means, oh man, what does that mean? That means I'm so scared to go speak in front of people publicly. This is back then. I had I was so afraid of public speaking. And I was like, so probably God is going to put me in a position where I have to speak publicly, and that's going to be my big breakdown and my big breakthrough. Like that's what I really thought. And nope, that's not how that came. So one day in 2019, I mean, I'm not kidding, Prat, when I say that I prayed every single day and I was desperate at this point to make this thing work. I was just walking down my hallway and had this thought hit me, and it was that I was going to be going to Mexico in 30 days. It was May 1st. Or actually, this is the day before May 1st. So what? April 30th or maybe the 31st? Is there 31 days in April? Anyway, it was the day before May 1st. It was the night before. And I was standing there, it's 2019, and I'm like, we're going to Mexico in 30 days for my 30th birthday on May 30th. I don't know what that means, all those 30s, but that's what it was. And I was like, if I treat my husband, who is my soulmate, the way that I treated him on our last Mexico trip, he will divorce me because I was a raging lunatic on the Mexico trip that we had taken before. And then my next thought was, well, it was because I was drinking. And then so my next thought was, well, then I can't drink. I just shouldn't drink. Then my next thought was, and this was not me. My next thought was, I can't not drink. And I was like, oh my God, I'm an alcoholic. And it was just like this bright light moment of clarity. It was the clarity I had been looking for all along. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. But then it was so obvious. I was in denial for 10, 12 years of drinking. And that was the reason I had treated my husband so poorly, like the first time we were in Mexico. And I was a morning, noon, and night drinker. So like going to the freezer 8 a.m., grabbing tequila and chugging it right out of the container. And I was so functional. People had no idea what I was going through and that I used every bit of energy I had to hide my addiction. And so I pushed people away. I was very defensive, but it was to keep them away. So I wanted to isolate myself so I could drink. And I didn't want them asking questions. And I didn't know that I was an alcoholic until that moment. And I knew it. I knew it in the split second. I could either say yes to getting help and humbling myself and allowing something or somebody else to help me. And I would get everything that I ever wanted that I had been praying for and asking for, plus so much more. Or I could just continue doing what I was doing, trying to figure everything out on my own, and I would get nothing and probably ruin my whole life. And in that split second, I made a decision. It was not an intention, it was a decision that I would go get help the next morning. I did that.
Mm.
And I ended up having this crazy spiritual experience over, well, that night, and was lifted of that obsession to drink, which was so unbelievably strong for so long. And so that's how I know that God is real, or whatever you want to call it, because that's a miracle. And that's how I came to this whole like I feel that my business, that is the foundation of my business, is the spiritual teachings that I went through and that I practice still every single day to maintain my own clarity, right? It's clarity from the inside out, is what I believe is necessary in this industry. You have to be clear on who you are, what you're here to do, but that's a daily thing. So I'll end it here and I'll just say, that it came full circle. And not only do I have the spiritual groundedness to find that depth and weight in a message, but also it came back to the marketing, passion that I have for marketing. Marketing is what got me sober. It's what I was praying about. I needed to figure out that messaging. And now I have the tools, the practical tools and the spiritual tools to help other people like me, multidimensional coaches, and entrepreneurs get clear. So thanks for asking.
Thank you so much. I think every bit of that story was so valuable, and thank you for sharing your journey. And it's so brave for you to really share all of that with us. Thank you so much for doing that. And you spoke about spiritual practice and being very clear about who you are and being very clear about your purpose and connecting to this bigger power, right? Can you tell us more about that? Like, what is your spirit? Like, how do you go back and ground yourself to that why, and what is your spiritual practice?
Yeah. So, okay. First of all, how do I ground myself back into my why? It's like I know what my why is just because of my relationship to my higher self, which is God, is universe, is source, right? It's the bigger thing that is all of us. Um, and so the way that I maintain that is by forging a and working on actively a relationship with that thing, right? With that entity. So every single day I talk and I listen to this thing. What is talking and listening to a higher power? That is praying and meditating, right? When I pray, I'm talking to it. And when I'm meditating, I'm listening to it. And I'm not looking for, I tend to try my hardest to surrender every single day. I mean, that's the daily reprieve that we have as human beings. It's like if I want peace and serenity, which is absolutely essential to clarity, that is clarity, right? If I have resentments, if I have things pop up, I have to go to my higher power and let them go and let it take it. I don't get to pick and choose anymore. I don't get to cherry pick which things are worth me fighting over, right? That's not my gig anymore. I used to fight over everything, brainstorming, even like having these brainstorming sessions. This is something I'm obsessive. I will obsess over strategy, for example. That's not a luxury that I have anymore. I don't do that. I don't allow myself to do that. I learn all of the time, but if I am to be spiritually fit every single day, which means staying clear, which means actively working on my relationship with my higher power, I am giving control over to that thing. And I'm not cherry picking what things I control and what things it controls. I allow it to control everything. Meaning, before we get on this call, I pray. I say, use me as a vessel. I am a vessel. I am not here to dictate anything, right? Like, if I can't even control myself, who am I to control the rest of the world, right? And how this podcast interview is going to go, or how my child is going to react to a certain situation, or how I think somebody else should be handling something in politics. None of this is for me to decide. I get to let go of control and then actively participate, right, in whatever aligned thoughts that my higher power gives me. Then I get to go take action. That's what my willpower is for, I believe, is to make those aligned decisions every single second of every single day. So that's really like, that's the practice, is maintaining spiritual clarity by praying and meditating every single morning without fail. And also making sure that I'm clearing out any negativity, any resentments that come my way. If I build a resentment, I know that that is the most dangerous thing for me in my business because a resentment, no matter how small, like an irritation, always grows, and it blocks my spiritual perception. My spiritual perception is my clarity, right? Like that's how I see clearly. That's how I know what my purpose is. So that's pretty much how.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I was just thinking, when you said surrender control, like I think that's one of my biggest fears is like losing control. And then I've had this thought, so I want to ask you, have you ever had the thought that life is so unfair? Why is it like taking so long for me? Why am I not able to do it? And then how do you deal with those kind of thoughts? How do you surrender that?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And yeah, of course, I've had those thoughts, but they've become much fewer and further in between. And I used to think like when somebody was making a certain amount of money, it would be very easy for them to say something like that. It's like, okay, yeah, but you're now like where you're at. And so of course you don't worry about why things are taking so long because it's not taking long for you anymore. But back before I was making money, back before this was a thriving business, back before, I mean, I was grinding day in and day out for a decade, right? Almost. And I before I got sober and before I had my spiritual awakening and before I began to really forge this deep connection with something bigger, allowing it to take over control, I had that thought process way more. Actually, it was probably a daily thing. And the way that I see it now is that, first of all, in terms of it taking a long time, if I'm a soul, I am infinite, right? Like if that's what I actually am, and that's the perspective that I'm coming from. A spiritual perspective is a soulful perspective. That's an infinite perspective. If I'm infinite, this is a blip on the map. Like I'm here to do whatever I'm going to do, and then I'm probably going to get another chance, as I evolve, as my spirit evolves and grows over time. It's infinite. So like this is a blip on the map. I my cousin just died and he was 32 years old. And actually, maybe he was 34, but he was right there, either 32 or 34. And he died of alcoholism because it runs rampant in my family. And the way I think about it is like, this just wasn't his time, right? Like, this wasn't his time to figure it out. He'll figure it out the next time or the next time or the next time. There's infinite possibilities. I feel like as coaches, we hear these words, infinite possibilities, and yet there's such a lack of understanding practically of what that means and a practical application of it in our thought processes. Because if you really believed in infinite possibilities, you would not be afraid that it's not going to work out for you, right? It's going to. It's just like, is it going to happen right now? Is it going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to be the next day? We don't know. So you get to let go of control. That's what you get to do. And that's what I was ultimately freed from when I had this new beginning with a spiritual perspective. I went from mind to soul. I went from thinking and overanalyzing and always thinking about myself, right? Self-centeredness, that creates suffering, and thinking about me, and why, and going from that to a spiritual perspective where it's more about, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I get to do this. And I know that sounds like lip service, but truly, it genuinely is more about the journey because you will stop to smell the roses. You will start seeing things more vividly. You will start understanding that this is all for the betterment of humanity, including yourself. And the money is a byproduct.
Yeah,
Like it's not the thing. It's just not.
yeah, yeah. I love that you say that. Thank you for sharing that. Um, it's always about the journey of becoming, like you said, it's never about the achievement, but who we become in the process, in the pursuit of it, right? So, on to the next question is what have you, tell me more about your journey in terms of what did you try to do that never worked out for you, that you learned from other coaches or you learned from observing the industry, but that just didn't work out for you?
Oh my God. Okay. I could I could go a million directions, but I will stick with the most relevant one to myself right now. Um,
Yeah.
I think, well, if we're talking in terms of like creating a business, right? If we're talking in terms of like making money and helping people,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say the thing that did not work for me that I tried for a very long time, and
Yeah.
you might already know this answer, but um, was the way that I was taught to do social media marketing and the actual burnout that is social media marketing for me anyway. This works for some people, and this is like kind of the whole point, right? Is that we all have to go on this journey to figure out what works for us individually. And so for me personally, and if you resonate with this, like if you're listening or if you resonate with this, then this is where you go, oh, there might be a new path. And this is what you do for other people is you find what does not work for you, you find a new path and it works for you. And then other people who resonate with the vehicle that did not work go, oh, what? There's a different one? You're a new opportunity. I'm going to try that. And this is how we grow. And they eventually figure it out for themselves, like what actually works for them. But
Mm.
this is how we experiment. And so, yeah, the way that I've been taught over the years is value-driven content, which feels and sounds very, very good because I am a spiritual, we're all spiritual, but coming from that spiritual perspective, you're like value, yes. Like I'm going to give everything I have. And sometimes though, I feel that it goes to the detriment of not only the person doing it, and
Mhm.
it's coming from almost a place of guilt a lot of times. I mean, for me, it definitely was. It was, I just kind of felt like, well, that's what I should do. I mean, if I have all this gold, I need to be giving it for free because, well, that's how you market. Number one, that's how you help people understand that you're the one for them. And also, it's going it's going to help other people. And I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. Now, I agree with that in some ways, and I think it works beautifully for some people, and for me, it didn't. I mean, that's the truth. And I felt very burnt out on giving away free content, free value, educational posts, three things to do to XYZ. I mean, it really gets irritating at some point. I mean, I'm a very, very blunt, direct person, and I'm just going to call it the way that I have felt it and seen it. But it's not fun at some point when you have given everything and received nothing in return. I don't believe that's the point of what we're doing here. Because how can you possibly sustain a business that's not making money?
Yeah.
If you have so much to give truly and are able to transform people's lives, they need to be in your containers. They need to be in the environments where you have the capacity and you have the time to give to them to help them change their lives. But if they never buy from you, you're going to eventually shut your business down because you're going to have to make money at some point. And then what? Like, are you going to have time to just keep doing the free value content and posts? Like, is that really what you want to be doing? And if it is, fine. Fine. If you feel so like happy with that, that's fine. And I mean, that's a beautiful thing. And I think there are some people out there with hearts that are just like, I don't care. Like, but that's not a business. If you want to make money, that's a business and that's a different model. And so we have to look at what works for us. And for me, giving all that free value and all that free content just ran me dry. And not to mention, by the way, I have two small children. And when not only do you have mouths to feed, right, but you also have presence that you want to be giving your children. And you can say all day long, like, oh, it only took me 30 minutes to do this post and this reel, and it was so easy. But if you are constantly going back, checking your phone to see if anybody said anything or engaged with it, you're basically trying to see if it landed, right? If you're not sure if it landed or not, you're going to constantly go back and look to see if it did. And if you're not sure about your own strategy in social media, in marketing, and you're not sure and certain that it's going to attract qualified leads and qualified clients that are going to buy your stuff, you're going to be in a constant state of lack of presence, right? Lack of peace And that's to me, like I said, it's actually not okay. Like I will not ever live like that again. And that goes back before I was sober. So yeah, the whole like posting nonstop with valuable content was something that just did not work for me.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I totally get that. And I love that you're literally releasing a program about content that sells now, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. But okay, so that's something that really didn't work out. Tell me on the flip end, what did work out? What helped you be like, finally, this is landing, finally, this is working out for me?
Okay, so one day I actually just wrote an email about this. I was outside with my kids and I was gearing them up for dirt bikes. And my 20-month-old does ride dirt bikes with me, by the way. He's all fully geared, don't worry. And I ride him on, it's a very small dirt bike and we go very slow. But anyway, I was gearing up my boys and I left my phone inside the house. And, because as a good, a good coach, really, I'm always, I've got to practice what I preach. So I left my phone inside, but I caught myself. I got irritated. I got irritated with Roman, my 8-year-old. And I snapped at him and I was like, oh my God, what are you really mad about? Like, what are you actually mad? I was mad because I didn't have my phone. I wanted to see my phone. I wanted to see if anybody had like said anything because I had an offer going, I had a launch going, and I was acting out of fear, obviously, with him. And the fear was that, I wasn't going to get what I wanted. And I didn't have control over the situation. And I needed to check it to get the dopamine hit to see, like, oh, good, somebody like commented or somebody like acted engaged with this. In that moment, I did not go get my phone. And I thought to myself, I'm not doing this anymore. Like I am not doing it like this anymore. I don't know if I need to figure out ads. I don't know like what it is that I need to do, but I am not doing this anymore. And I had already tried like writing fluffy content, like doing all the really vulnerable shares, because I have really vulnerable stuff that I'm willing to share, and I feel like it's very valuable, but it's stuff that I don't know. It's like even on this podcast, you know, I save it for times like these now. I don't just need to constantly talk about it. I'm so past so much of the vulnerable stuff because I don't live that way anymore. I don't have these constant negative things happening anymore. I don't have like, so I felt so over all of that. And the way that I am, obviously, is very, very like clear cut. And I thought to myself in this whole thought process, I was like, that's what I am. Like, I am clarity. Like, why am I being so unclear? Why am I being so unclear? Why don't I just go be clear? And I sat there and I was like, you know what? Screw it. All right. So I pulled out, I have a degree in psychology, and I pulled out a book, Identity-Based Motivational Theory. It's a whole big, thick book, and it's all about what motivates people in terms of like how they identify with certain things. And if you go open that book, you're not going to find a whole lot on sales psychology, but you will find a lot about how to motivate people through their identities and connecting with that piece, right? And this is stuff that I have studied so deeply and I already understand and I know. So then I just started going, okay, I'm going to start experimenting. And I also have if you're anything like me, I've always got an earbud in. I am always listening to audiobooks. I'm listening to Russell Brunson. I'm listening to Dan Sullivan. I'm listening to everybody. I mean, anybody that is anybody, I am listening to them. And I'm constantly taking in information. And by the way, if you feel like you're in consumption overload, I I get it, but I also have to say, the more that you consume, you don't have to take it all in. You don't have to remember it. Just listen to it and allow it to inspire you at a later time, because this is exactly what happened. I sat down and I said, okay, I just started taking different pieces from different people. And also, I am coached by Shoshana Raven. And I also I have a one-on-one coach, Sam Altieri. So I have a lot of influences. And I sat there and I was like, I'm going to write a post and I'm going to do what I know to do. And I'm going to call a couple things out. So, first of all, I'm going to celebrate a win, which is a direct identity grabber, right? This is something that people are seeing their future identity through because they're like, I want that. So you got to get people's attention, right? And I obviously I'm teaching you a little bit right now of content that sells. But I sat there and I this is exactly what I did. And so I wrote something, I wrote a big win. I grabbed people's attention in terms of like future identity. Then I was like, here's how I did it without doing all of these other things. Right? So here's the big win, and here's what I did not do to get that. Just like you just asked me, it's a natural question. And it's a natural, like, we don't want to continue doing things that don't work. Like, we're naturally curious. So I basically fed that curiosity monster, and I was like, here's what I did not have to do, and allowed people to see, like, oh my God, identifying that's me. That is me. Oh my God, I'm doing those things right there. And then I said, and here is exactly what I'm doing now. And I did not tell them the exact process. I did not give them the how, right? But I did give them the what. So I was like, here's what I'm doing. Not how, here's what. And then I said, here's how to get it. And then I created some urgency, and there's different ways to do that. And we'll talk about it in content that sells. But um, basically, that was the core of my post. And when I say that thing took off, it took off, and my business changed. It was just like boom, overnight. Like, oh my God, people are paying attention. It's like all of a sudden, my business was on the map. And it felt like, holy crap, I can't believe that just worked. So that's all I do now. And that's what I teach. And it's a core, it's like it just works. It's sales psychology. And duh, but it's me being who I am, by the way, because I am so clear and I am so blunt. And I trim the fat at all times. And I'm never, ever like putting frosting on a cupcake. Like I just won't do it. So that I think it works because that's naturally who I am, and also it's triggering people to pay attention.
Mm, mm. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that it worked for you. I love that clarity aspect of you. I've always seen you as a very clear person. Like I've always seen that aspect of you, and I feel like that's something that resonated with me, and that's what pulled me and keeps pulling me towards you. That it is so clear, it is so magnetic, and I know a lot of coaches don't teach the spark that you're teaching. And I remember when I remember sending you a voice note saying, "Sadly, I haven't seen a lot of people do what you do. Like, why aren't people talking about this?" Because I also believe that this is what works for me, like being very specific, being very clear about who I am, what I'm here for, what do I want to help people with, and what do they not want to do to get there, which is something I learned from you, the X factor, right? And I really want to I really want to, compliment the fact that I love that you do this, but not a lot of people do it out there. So overall, I'm going to ask you a big question right now. What are your 2 cents on the whole coaching industry? Because I know you've been here for a lot longer than I have. It's just been 2 years for me. But what do you want to say if I had to give you a few minutes to talk about it?
That's such a cool question. And as you're saying that, I'm literally like, God, please give me the answer. And
Hmm.
right there, like I feel like that's the foundation. I just had to say it because I feel like it's a plug for God. But like I got you. Um, but truly, if I could say one thing, because of course I'm always coming from a marketing angle, because it's my passion, and also mixed in with the spiritual groundedness, right? Because it's my foundation.
Yeah.
And it would be, I'm speaking to these similar typed people who are spiritually grounded, who have or want to be anyway, who understand that the spiritual perspective is what creates that internal clarity. So speaking to those types of people, those multi-dimensional, multi-passionate people who are trying to start coaching businesses, I think the one thing that I would say is actually I read this in a Alex Hermosi book last night. It said, and I say this all the time. So when I saw it, I almost took a photo of it to send it to the Modern Day Healer group. But if everybody else is doing it, don't do it. So when I say that, what I'm thinking of is in terms of marketing, this is going to rub some people the wrong way and it's going to trigger some people, but take it as you will. I love full self-expression. I'm in it right now. My clarity is it, but it creates opinions. Okay. And so my opinion is that self-expression is the new noise. What I'm seeing is so much self-expression, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I don't mean that you should not express yourself. I just mean you got to find out who you are. And in terms of your personality, like I actually think that people, there's three stages. I think that you go through this whole like breakdown, right? Where, oh my God, you're losing the shell. You're breaking down the defenses that you created in your childhood. Those are the ways that you coped with hard situations, right? You built this wall around yourself. It's an armor. So you built this thing up in childhood. So the first stage is, I guess, building the armor. And then the second stage is breaking the armor down, like pulling that off layer by layer. You're taking the armor off. And then this is where a lot of people get stuck. They take the armor off, and what's left is this soft, juicy core, right? That's your soul. And you're like, this is me. That is you, 100%. That is the infinite you that's never going to change, never going to die. You got to get to the next phase, though. The next phase is this is where you basically have peeled the armor off of yourself. You've found your soul. Now it's time to create the artwork, right? It's time to create the masterpiece from your personality. Like you're allowed to have an ego. You're allowed to have a personality. You're aware of it. You're aware of how it comes in through the back door and affects you in negative ways. So if you're aware of your ego, you now get to play with it. You get to use it and mold it and take it and say, okay, I know my true self, right? But now I get to use everything that I've learned, everything I know I am, and I get to actively co-create with the creator who I want to be. This new iteration of myself that will always evolve, always grow. But it's the human you, right? It's not just the soul. And I say just the soul very lightly. The soul is everything, but you're also a human. You're on earth. You're here, right? So I see, and this is not to knock anybody, it's just to give people who might be stuck in this phase some recognition that there might be a next piece here that could connect everything together and make things click because it's a business, right? So if we're all ethereal, if we're all online acting ethereal, if we're all online dancing, if we're all online doing the same things, guess what? No one's listening because all your clients are doing the same fucking thing. Sorry, am I allowed to cuss?
Well, of course.
Sorry, but this gets me really heated because I feel bad because I get upset about it because it drives me, right? Like I want you to find the thing that gets you upset that drives you, right? Because this is what I'm passionate about. It's about helping people get out of that, like out of that stuck space of looking and blending in accidentally into what everybody else is doing because it is such a trap. And obviously, you're thinking to yourself, I'm just being self-expressed. If that's the case, and that's fine. And I like honor that, and it is what it is. But in terms of marketing, it doesn't work because if everybody else is doing it, it's eventually going to you need to get to the next cutting edge thing. You have to stay ahead of the game. That is marketing. And so when everybody zigs, you zag, right? You get to say everyone else is dancing on reels. What am I going to do? Right? Then go do something completely different. Go type on your notes on your phone and just post that. Right? That will stand out when everybody else is dancing. That is going to stand out because it's a pattern disruptor. People are going, wait, what's that? They're looking at all these people dancing. They're scrolling. And by the way, a lot of us are each other's clients, right? Or ideal clients. Like a lot of us are friends with people who would be great clients. And your friends are doing the exact same thing. So if they're doing that marketing, they're not watching yours. Like that's not hooking them in, right? Because they're already doing that and they're thinking, I already do that. So is this making sense?
Yeah, wow. I think I had a breakthrough right there. Mm, yeah, that's amazing. Doing the unpredictable, not what you would usually do, right? Because it's very easy for our mind to see, okay, this is what's working, this is what people are doing, and then doing it, like kind of following the herd kind of confirmation bias. But It's actually like, no, how can I go zag when everyone's going zig? Like you said, how can I do something super unpredictable or something super different? But that is still an expression of yourself. That is still
Exactly.
you playing with, and having fun with, your raw material, right?
Exactly. And I think a lot of times, like, people just, honest to God, don't know themselves well enough yet to know how they were, like, they're a vessel. And so to express your true self, to express yourself in the most clear, concise way, I feel like you have to know yourself very, very well. Because sometimes, like, if you have to find your voice, for example, if it takes practice doing different types of expressive things, like you try writing in like a more poetic way, or you try writing, and I'm talking about posts right now, or you try writing posts in a more like authentic way where you're being like really real with people, right? Or you start writing like these are all different ways to try to find your voice. And if you're still doing that, you probably don't know your voice yet, right? And you still probably don't know the best way to express yourself. It hasn't all clicked yet. It hasn't all come together yet, which is okay. This is part of the process. But you keep trying different things though. You don't and so don't I guess really the lesson here is, if I could say, like, give one piece of advice with this whole thing, it's don't get stuck in one thing. Don't continuously do one thing and wonder why it's not working. You have to constantly experiment until it clicks, until one day you have that obvious confirmation. Oh my God, this is what I am. This is who I am. This is how I was supposed to say it and deliver it all along. Right. And then, we have to keep going. We have to just keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah, entrepreneurship is a real spiritual project, right? It really
Mhm.
like pushes you to the core. It puts you under so much pressure, and it actually does help you identify the core you. I feel like it really has done that for me so far, and I know it's a process and it's going to keep showing me more of me. But yeah, I love that you said experimentation, right? Trying different methods out, not sticking to just one thing. And if it doesn't work out, being like, okay, I'm going to give up. It's not working for me. Maybe I'm not meant to do this. Maybe I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur without having tried out so many other things out there. And I think for me, it's always come at the point where I'm investing in another coach and I'm like, oh, so this is another way of doing it. Let me see. And I've done so much of that. And there's so many times where I'm like, nah, this ain't working for me. This is not how I want to run my business. I actually swerved an investment last weekend where there was a sales coach talking to me about like how to handle sales objections and be on calls. And I really like this coach. I've been in her world for 2 years. But I was just like, I love you. I just don't think this is my methodology. Like I truly believe to my core it's not. And I felt lucky enough to have known that before working with her that this is not how I want to build my business. But there are multiple times where I've worked with the coach, seen it all the way through and been like, nah, this is not how I want to build my business. So it happens before the investment sometimes, it happens after the investment sometimes. But like you said, I think it's all part of the process of experimenting and growing and understanding the core you and how you want to build this art piece, right?
Yeah, you have come so far. Like, I remember when we worked together, and this was not like you know yourself so well now, and you, like, clearly, if you're able to be discerning, right, with investments, which that is a practice. Sorry, and you can't figure that out until you have actually done it. So I commend you, and I have so much respect for you, because I feel like this is the iteration of Pratana that was always meant to come out, and it's obviously just going to evolve and grow over time. But I'm like so impressed.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. Your words always mean the most to me. And the next question is, this is a kind of like a, I don't know, it's a question I had, so I'm just gonna ask it, right? Are there any algorithm rules or I don't know, patterns that you follow in your business that you think?
What is it?
Algorithm rules or patterns that you follow in your business, like time of posting, post like this, post like that, or like, I don't know, like, do you?
Yeah, like little tips and tricks and hacks and whatever.
Yeah, like
Not really. I mean, I'm trying to think.
Instagram growth hacks, I don't know.
Yeah. So, okay. I can say one little hack is to know that the algorithm, actually, I'll give you two. So, one is that the algorithm will knock you for putting video content in your stories. So, if you want more people to see your stories when you're selling, do photos only and put text over the photos, and really just use the literature font. Don't go crazy with other fonts because it won't push it out. And the second you put a video in there, like even if it's a like you know how I have my graphics welcoming people in, they're all videos basically. And of course, my engagement went right down the second I did it. I don't care, it's fine. But I made sure that the if you look, the beginning portion is all photos so that it got pushed out. And the second that I put the videos on there, it started getting not pushed out. So that's one little algorithm hack. And then another one is when you are when you are writing a post, like you'll see that I do not ever say go click the link in my bio because the algorithm will stop those. So I always tend to say reply. I really try to stay away from the word comment. You can say drop this emoji or whatever, but uh, like I really recommend against saying things like click the link in my bio because when you do it, the algorithm picks it up and says she's trying to sell. Like, nope, shut it down.
Even for comment, the algorithm picks it as trying to sell.
I don't know. I mean, this is this is stuff I've learned along the way, and I'm not really sure about that nuance, but I would assume so because it is a machine just picking that up. And so even in your stories, I would be really hesitant to do that. I haven't played with that as much in terms of like my stories to know if that is something that gets knocked down when I do it or not, because I just don't do it. But yeah, that's a big recommendation.
Hmm. Okay. Now, yeah, I never knew these things. Thank you for sharing that. That's wild. Okay, awesome. And I want to ask you, when it comes to like your stories or your posts that convert, what are the top three reasons people buy from you?
Mm. Oh my God. I guess you would have to ask them. Um, my
Okay,
posts.
wait, what is the top three reasons you buy from your coaches?
Yeah. Okay, that's a better question. That's a good question. That's an easier question for me to answer. Let me say.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, honest to God, um, well, I always tell people to sell like they buy, right? So
Yeah,
I don't really, I don't care about sales pages.
yeah.
I just honestly like my one-on-one coach, Sam. It's going on a year with her now, and it ain't cheap. And I didn't even look at anybody else. I don't like, I'm very much about my time and like making sure I'm being as effective and efficient with my time as possible because I just don't have a lot of it to work. And so when I found Sam through, she was a referral, it was like, boom, like we had one quick call and I just immediately signed up with her and I didn't even look at anybody else. And I just trusted my gut on it. So I feel like the gut pull, the gut instinct is very clear to me. And like, in terms of the Vortex Shoshana. I think that one was also, I mean, their gut instincts. It's just like, okay, you know what? I don't even really know why, but I'm doing it. And I'm trying to think like anybody else, it's been the same thing. It's just like, you know what? I think this is going to be helpful. And I'm very impulsive when it comes to when it comes to buying books and audiobooks and all of that. But I feel like that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, a gut instinct. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think
I
that,
listen to my gut. Let me say that. I listen to my gut. I don't just go, oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe. I go, yeah. And I just get it done because I know myself and I know when my like heart is telling me something, I move though. I know this is really important. I know that resistance, the faster I can face any form of resistance I have, and I mean resistance, I don't mean a no. Like I know what a no feels like in my body. Like I really do know what that feels like. And if it's a no, it's a freaking no, right? But if there's resistance and it's just like it's expensive. Oh man, like I want it, but I don't know. That's resistance. I look at that as a almost a challenge at this point to see how fast I can overcome it and do the thing that I'm resisting. And I know that's what creates those quantum leaps. The faster I can move through the resistance, the bigger the transformation, the more momentum I build in that moment, and the more speed I get with the momentum, right? It pushes me right through to the next level. If the faster I can face that resistance. So when I see something I want, I don't like money for me. Now yeah, okay. So I've got a business bank account that can pay for these things, but that was not always the case. So money for me has always been a tool. It has never been a obstacle. It's always been a financial instrument to help me do what I want to do because I know, and I want the listeners to hear this because this is so important. It's to understand that the thing that you're resisting, like, you're not gonna make money and then buy that thing. You will resist that till the day you die. And honestly, like, you'll find something else cheaper and easier in the meantime. So my whole thing is to remember that the thing that you're resisting is the thing that's going to make you the money. So you might as well use money as what it's intended for, which is to be a financial instrument, to be a tool to help you make money. You cannot just like go, I'm gonna make the money first. And then it's like, no, the thing that you're resisting is the thing that's going to make you that money times whatever the ROI is, right? And so that resistance right there is so important to look at and to jump over as fast as you can. And when you do that, you want to become the person that is going to help you become the person faster than anybody else who is caught in the resistance, which is 99.9% of people.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that you say that. I totally believe it too. But I want to play a devil's advocate for a bit. I've heard of stories where people have like made a huge investment and then had like their nervous system collapse because they're like, oh shit, how am I gonna like pay it back? Or they put it on credit and then they've been like, oh shit, how am I gonna pay it back? Or I don't know how I'm paying the next installment. And I know I've also heard of stories of the opposite where they don't know how they're gonna pay the next installment, but then somehow they do and it works out. So I've heard like both sides to these things. I actually have a friend of mine who recently invested in something huge, $30,000, and she paid the first installment, and then she told me that she couldn't afford the next few, and she dropped out, and she went into panic, and she stopped her business for like a couple of months, and then came back again.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there is definitely a level of discernment that you have to have. You have to be responsible. Like
Yeah,
in terms of knowing where you're at. If you have no money at all and you're looking at a $30,000 investment and you're not able to take a personal loan out, then maybe you should, I mean, but I do think that there's always an avenue at some point for the things that we want in terms of like you can sell something, you can always do something, and that's being an entrepreneur, right? That's solving your own problems. That's being scrappy. But also, I do think you're right that there is also a level of disillusionment in the coaching industry where people are getting sold on things that they literally should not be buying. And that's where we go, hold on, like, are you ready for that? And when I say that, I mean, is your level of belief in yourself high enough for that type of an investment? You have to know that there's no way that you are questioning. Like, when you find your soulmate, I know this because my husband is my soulmate. You know when you know. All right. It's like literally like nobody can tell you otherwise. If you are not at that level and you're trying to make $30,000 investments in yourself, I would go back to the drawing board and I would say, I need a better foundation here with myself, right? I need to know myself better. I need to have way more personal belief first. So for those types of people, which it makes the majority of people, right? It's like, guys, all you have to do is stop trying to put the cart before the horse. You have to have the foundation. You have to have that personal, spiritual foundation in order to take something this size on, like this magnitude, like, so coaching, becoming a coach is like such, it sounds so simple. It sounds so silly. It sounds like if you're in the outside world, it can just sound so minimal. it is the biggest undertaking. It is one of the hardest things you will ever do. And it is being an entrepreneur, by the way. It is not just being somebody who is embodied and then people follow that person. If you think it's going to be like that for you, you're probably wrong. And I don't mean to say it like in terms of I'm like trying to crush people's dreams or make you not believe in certain levels of success because they're all there, they're all available. You have to be really honest with yourself, though, and you have to know where you're at. And if you don't, you need to take a step back and surrender. Like that's the piece that nobody, like not nobody, but I get frustrated because I see so many people trying to go right on to the business side of things and to just be embodied but it's like you can't just be embodied. You have to have the foundation. You have to know what you're doing in order to like know yourself. And I'm talking spiritually. Like you need to know how to have a deep and lasting and strong relationship with something bigger than yourself. If you do not have that, you are going to continue trying to control circumstances in your favor. And when the outcomes don't go your way, how are you going to handle them? You're going to back out of payments. You're going to implode at some point. You're going to crush your whole business. No, like you don't have to do that, but that's putting the cart before the horse. That's saying I know what I'm doing and I'm not listening to anybody and me. That's self-centeredness, right? It's not God-centeredness. And if you're not coming from your higher power, which is the thing that created you, is the source of all of your knowledge, it is the source of everything. You are basically going like this and going la 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 la. I'm not listening to you. And then making these irrational moves because you're not coming from soul, you're coming from mind. That's a destructive place to come from. So I'll wrap it up with just saying, like, if you know people who are making those enormous investments and then self imploding, to me, it's because they don't have the spiritual foundation necessary to know what they're doing and know themselves at the level it takes to make those investments and see an ROI.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. That actually kind of covered my next question, which was what advice would you give to someone who's just, who wants to be a coach or who wants to bring their medicine into this world? And I feel like the first step is spiritual foundation, getting clear on exactly what they want to do and who they want to help, right? And getting clear on their mission. I think that's really, really important. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would say that I would even back that up further. I think that the place to start for anybody isn't just knowing what you want. It's not just knowing who you're helping. It's literally forging that relationship with something bigger. Because if you don't have that, you will not have a place to come back to every single day. It needs to be every day. It's not just like a when you need it. Those are foxhole prayers. That's please get me out of this. No, 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 no. We're forging a relationship so that you have a foundation in which to build your coaching business off of, in which you find your clarity and all of that. So I would definitely say for anybody that's just getting started, don't put the cart before the horse. Like, seriously, humble yourself and recognize that you're here as a vessel to do work for something bigger and that you are so much bigger than any method or modality, right? Meaning, if like for example, when you said you have to know what you want to do, like I almost, it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in modalities and to say, do I want to do energy healing? Do I want to do Reiki? Do I want to do yoga? Do I want to do breath work? These are all tools. They're not the thing. The thing is a relationship with something bigger. They all help you get there, right? They're all pathways. But the core crux foundation of all of these tools is forging a lasting relationship with something bigger and doing everything from that understanding and from that feeling. That's it. And then the rest is extra. The rest is like if you do pick up methods, modalities, things to quote unquote do, right? They're just adding to that relationship and helping strengthen it. Otherwise, it can become another crutch, another thing to go like, yeah, I do this. It's like, all right, well, I mean, just because you do that thing doesn't mean you have a relationship with something bigger and that you have the real foundation that's necessary to know yourself and to know what you want to be doing and to know like what the next aligned action is to take. Because what happens to most people is the self-doubt creeps in, right? The uncertainty. What's the flip side of uncertainty? Limitlessness, like possibility. You cannot have one without the other. So if you want to flip the coin from uncertainty to limitless possibilities, you have to have that foundation. You have to be seeing it from that perspective, which means you have to have a relationship with the thing that creates that perspective in the first place, which is God or universe or source or whatever you want to call it. So that's where I will leave it, Prat. Like that's what I believe. It's what's worked for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dana. I mean, this episode has been so insightful. I've learned so much from you. I've had breakthroughs while listening to you, which is why I've taken like a minute before I ask you the next question to process and to have my breakthrough. But thank you so much. I think this is so valuable, like just being here and providing us with your presence. And any closing words or how people can connect with you and work with you?
Um, Closing words. I know I sound really opinionated, and I am, but I
Love it.
promise you, thanks. I am here to help, and truly, like wherever you're starting is perfect. And connecting with me, you can go on Instagram, daring to be Dana with a little underscore between each word. And right now, we have content that sells, and it's only $22 right now, and it's going to be so good. Pratana was talking about it, and literally, I'm going to teach everybody the three buying decision triggers that I put into every single piece of content. I'm going to give templates, which I feel like is a bad word in our industry, but I am going to give templates because I genuinely believe that structure allows the feminine to flow. It allows that spirituality and whatever you're here to give to actually come out of you in a way that makes sense to other people so that you can make this thing, this intangible essence that you are, a business, right? Like, so we can sustain this, so we can help people, so you can get them into your containers. So that's what content that sells is all about. It's about every time you post, you should be making money, you should be making sales, and not just that, you should be attracting qualified leads, qualified people into your experiences so that they see the benefit and the value of you and then ascend, right? Ascend into your higher level experiences because they're qualified to do that. So that's content that sells on sale now. We start October 23rd. I don't know when this is airing, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah, probably next week is when I'll publish it. But
All right, cool. Well, it will be after I do the live version of it, I will also be pre-recording it and then packaging it up that way. So it'll be on my website. You can go on my link tree in Instagram and grab it there after I do that. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Dina. Thank you for sharing everything with us. And I hope you have an amazing weekend ahead. Thank you for being here.
thank you, Prat. It was so fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And also, we love the fact that you're opinionated. Like, I feel like, I know, I love that you're so like straight up and so blunt. Like, that's refreshing. I need that. So please be that way. We love it.
Thanks, Prat. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was an amazing episode. I feel like I learned so much and I had so many breakthroughs. Thank you so much for witnessing us. And I hope you take away something and implement it in your business right now, immediately. Well, always remember to please like, subscribe, rate this podcast. It really helps me understand how you're feeling and what episodes you want more of too. Please leave your feedback or just DM me at Purpose with Prarthana to let me know. And I can't wait to create more such impact in your life. Thank you so much for being here. You're listening to Rebel with a Purpose, and I am Pratna signing off.